So today we're talking about some playing cards, some interesting, what I would consider next level custom decks of playing cards. I thought this was really interesting when I first saw this on Instagram. I actually had two separate people, totally unrelated, let me know about this company within like a week from each other. Just the first random message was like, oh, I know you and Christina like playing cards. You gotta check out KingsWild. That was the company's name. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And just, you know, in the back of my mind, I never spent any time looking it up or anything like that. Then literally like within a week, someone else, completely random, mentioned the same thing. Like, oh, I got this cool deck of cards as a gift from KingsWild. So I thought that that was pretty cool. And at that point, the second time I heard it, I decided to go look into it. They are on Instagram. Of course, they have a website as well. So I was looking through, it was actually a couple decks I was really interested in buying, but I ended up contacting the company through Instagram, asking a couple questions, talking about it a little bit, and they sent me a package of a bunch of these different decks to check out and look at. So originally I was just going to do a post on Instagram, showing them a little bit, talking about my feelings on them. But instead of some pictures, I figured I would do a video on here instead, just because I can explain more. And I don't really like doing videos on Instagram that much. So anything video related, I usually put on YouTube. Anything picture related, obviously I put it on Instagram. So yeah, the company is called KingsWild. They do a bunch of different custom themed decks. These are the two newer ones. Their 1982 deck, which obviously is like a throwback. This looks like a cassette, which is actually pretty cool. And then their postage paid one, I think, is their maybe the newest addition to their little collection. But they did send some other ones here. One that I was actually going to buy that I was really interested in was this Maduro set. I'm not going to show all these right now. Maybe in the future I will show more, because eventually I'm going to show a full collection video. Christina and I's playing card deck collections. I don't know exactly how many we have together, but there's a lot. We do tend to pick them up whenever we see new decks all the time. But anyway, this obviously is a cigar theme, which I thought was obviously perfect for me. I do love my cigars. So you can see the outside here, very decorative, very nice. But of course, what I really like about different playing card decks more specifically is them being unique. Now, you know, like there's a ton of different playing decks all around the world for all different reasons. A lot of times it's like promotional things, or it could just be related to certain products, or it could be something that you get when you're traveling. Like let's say you go to Nevada or you go to Vegas and it says, you know, Las Vegas on the back on every card. It's the same. And then the actual face of the playing cards are just generic, just a regular old playing card deck, right? What Christina and I really look for is the uniqueness of a deck. All right, Christina specifically likes very unique pips. All right, a pip is what lets you know, these are the characters that are on the card, okay, letting you know what it is. So the way the heart is shown here, the style of font for the number 4, the size, things like that are things that she looks for when she's getting cards. Now, obviously, this is a theme. It's a cigar theme. So you can see the Jack here is holding a tobacco leaf. All right, the Queen is smoking a stogie. The King is lighting a match, all right, also holding some cigars in his hand. All right, the Ace, obviously more of a cigar band, generic design there. But yeah, I mean, just really, really cool, totally different, really, really like it. Now, sometimes when you have different decks of cards, I kind of split them between usable and collectible. Now, all these I would consider collectible just because they're very unique. These are not something you're to find at Walmart, or your corner store. This is something you have to, physically go out and find, okay? Specifically in a smaller company like this, right, that's making these custom designs, they become collectible. But then there's some decks, like the 1982 deck I think is really cool, and this is my feedback on it, is I absolutely love this deck, but it's not a playable deck, in my opinion. And what I mean by that, all right, is that there's so much going on that it becomes almost confusing, right? So on the back, you can see KingsWild Project, like a VHS tape, which is very cool. Actually, I think I said cassette. The outside almost looks like a cassette box, but obviously it's VHS tapes, which if you don't know what that is, please Google it. You are very young. But anyway, so that's the back. And when we go on to the front here, you can see it's all holographic. All right, you can see the pips are totally different, which I definitely appreciate. I think it's very cool. And you can see them, but it gets a little bit muddled sometimes, okay? It's not a quick acquisition of what's going on. So if you're actually playing with cards, playing some rummy or some poker or who knows what, you get a little bit confused sometimes. You have to do a double take. You know, like this 9, is that a 9? Is it an 8? So like it is extremely, extremely unique. And I love stuff like this. But I have lots of decks in my collection that, like I said, I mean, I'll open them, I'll look at them like this, but I don't really play with them just because it's harder. You know, the most common game Christine and I play is Rummy. Play Rummy 500. I play it all the time. It's just a fun thing. Sometimes we'll just do it randomly. We play when we go camping. If I, you know, visit my family, her family plays, my family plays. So it's just one of those things that, you know, if we're kind of bored, it's kind of a go-to. So that's part of the reason why we like collecting cards so much. But yeah, I wanted to make a distinction for us. A lot of our decks of cards aren't ever used. I mean, we use them all. We use every single deck, but sometimes we'll be playing with a deck that's similar. This one's not too bad. There's some that are like way worse. But sometimes that's what will happen is we get to a deck where it's really cool. It's a really fun theme, but it becomes a little bit hard to actually play. Okay, whatever game we're trying to play, it becomes confusing. Like, oh wait, what is that? Is it, you know? So you don't want to do that when you're playing, obviously. This is a very cool theme as well. I really love the postage thing. Obviously, you guys know I worked in the postal system. Well, not for the post office. I was a private contractor, independent contractor, but I did work with mail, sorted it, you know, delivered it. I transported it. I had a little personal rural route for a little while. I did all kinds of stuff mail related, so this is very exciting for me. My one hit on this one is that they put a sticker that looks like a stamp on the back, and that is awesome. That was a very, very cool presentation, but eventually that's going to lose its stickiness, you know, and then it's just going to be flopping around. You know, so I would have liked to see this maybe tuck in or something, but still extremely, extremely unique. You will not find this anywhere else. So you can see, obviously, this has, you know, postage and mail related type theme going on here. It's actually really interesting. I know a guy, he's an older guy who lives somewhat close to me, and it was a friend of a friend, and his hobby is collecting postage canceled mail, basically letters, right? And I mean, when I say he has over $1 million collection, and he has mail from all over history, all over the world. He has mail that's been, you know, on plane crashes, famous plane crashes, mail from famous, cruise liners that sank, and boats and all kinds of stuff, right? So his whole deal is, what a canceled is obviously once you mail a letter somewhere, the post office puts marks over the stamp so you can't reuse it. Makes sense, right? If you mailed a letter to your family and they took the stamp off and put it on their envelope and mailed it back, and then you did the same thing back and forth, the post office will lose a bunch of money, right? So they make a little mark to make sure you can't reuse that postage. That's canceling out the postage, okay? That's all it is. That's what a canceled is, right?